The Dark Knight Rises from 2012 is the concluding chapter in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy. I do think that The Dark Knight is a pretty overrated film, but I still do think that it's a 4-star film and that it's the best of the trilogy. So it does seem like Christopher Nolan and company are trying to take what worked in the previous films and really tried to stick everything here, but to new heights. And you could tell that they were really striving. That's what it came across as with this one. Came across like they were trying, and that it didn't really feel as genuine as one might have hoped for, at least. So 8 years after the Joker gets destroyed, Harvey Dent dies, and Batman takes rap for everything, now Gotham City is pretty peaceful, like thanks to the Harvey Dent Act. With everything in Gotham City being perfectly fine, seemingly, there's this new massive criminal mastermind that's been running rampant. That is Bane. Tom Hardy is a pretty cool Bane, I'll admit. His rise and his aura. I can't deny that. Bane, with his goons, trying to really just destroy everything in their path and all that. That's just really cool to see. Bane is one of the coolest villains, at least to me, that Batman has ever faced. Tom Hardy does perfect justice to Bane. Like, even though this movie, it's like friggin' 2 hours and 45 minutes, the Bane stuff is one of the biggest highlights. I love it. There's this other subplot with Selena Kyle, who's Catwoman, and she's played by Anne Hathaway. Selena Kyle is a thief. Eventually, she develops this relationship with Bruce Wayne. When Bruce Wayne decides to become Batman again in order to save Gotham, because, there's only so much that regular people can do. There's only so much that the police can do. He and Catwoman get together, and they do all they possibly can to destroy Bane and his goons once and for all. So the movie, as I said, is almost 3 hours long, when it did not need to be that long at all. The first two Dark Knight films, Batman Begins and The Dark Knight from 2008, they were roughly 2.5 hours in length, but it felt more like those two worked perfectly as 2.5 hour films. The pacing was fine. There wasn't really any boring moments there. But in The Dark Knight Rises, because Nolan is really striving for that epicness and that grand stand, if anything, this movie could have been the shortest of the trilogy, and it would have been an even better product altogether. But, he knew that this was going to be the finale, so why not just go out with a bang the biggest way possible? The amount of pacing issues, they are quite noticeable here, but, you can't blame a guy for trying. You can't blame Christopher Nolan and everyone else for really striving to give the conclusion that we all wanted. But still, even though I personally don't think that this movie is quite as good as Batman Begins or The Dark Knight from 2008, this is a pretty worthy finale to the trilogy. Yeah, I think that the amount of good that is in this is really good, and the amount of negativity is nowhere near enough for me not to recommend this or give this movie a thumbs down. So I want to give The Dark Knight from 2012 3 stars out of 4.